Hello, hello, hello. Happy Wednesday, y'all. Hope whoever's watching now and in the future is having a good day. I know it's been a little tough in terms of audition season for everyone. My guest and I will be probably talking about that a little bit later on. I know it's been really hard for actors, but I can imagine it's also incredibly hard for technicians, directors, designers, all that good stuff. So shout out to you all. Shout out to us for getting it done. It's going to happen. It's all good. But yeah, happy Wednesday. Welcome to episode 18 of Overtures. And I'm going to start with a little fun clip today. Let me go through the technology of this. And we'll get to watch and enjoy in just a moment. And here we go.
So please accept this flower with its petals and a stem, which represent my feelings and tells you how. Where am I going with this?
Oh.
When words fail, what will I do? When words fail, how will she know how I feel? When words fail, will I fail too?
Ooh, there we go. Okay, my guest today recently graduated with a BA in theater from Hope College in Holland, Michigan. He moved to New York City in February of 2021 and is an actor, singer, and storyteller. His dream is to perform Shakespeare at the Globe in London. He and I have actually only met one other time, but he was such a sweetheart, and I am so happy to have him on the show today so we can all get to know him a little bit better. This is Riley Wilson.
Hi, Laura.
Hey, Riley. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm good. Still sort of waking up on this Wednesday morning, but you know, we're here, we're making it. I have a bunch of water here, ready to go.
Me too. I'm loving the lo-fi beats intro to this whole thing. It was so soothing. It was
Thank you.
my Wednesday morning.
Thank you. No, I was literally going on YouTube and I was like, okay, what are some like lo-fi like vibes that I can have that I can like download and not get copyrighted for? And so I don't know that it's in the description right now, but when this video is like fully like finished and uploaded to YouTube, I update the description and the link to this person's, I think it's like Lukrembo on YouTube. I like downloaded like a bunch of his songs and I'm using them for all the intros. So go check out the lo-fi beats there. Really great, really soothing, lovely. But yeah. So for context for how people, usually I give context for how we know each other, the guest and I, but today it's a little bit different. It's not from school. We didn't go to school together. We met at a cabaret back in November. We were in the same evening lineup for Super Secret Arts Cabaret series in Brooklyn. I think we were unfortunately like the last group right before Omicron really hit, but they're coming back up. So like, go check out their lineups, y'all. But yeah, it was so funny because I feel like we were all very awkward when we first got there because we all rehearsed separately. And then we were all just sort of sitting in the room twiddling our thumbs, waiting for all of our guests to arrive. And we're like, well, what are we going to do?
Yeah, and I was like sitting at my own table. I had just eaten some sushi from the supermarket, I think, because they were like, all right, go grab dinner and come back. And then I don't know. I hate being at places where I like don't know people just because I get bored and I'm an extrovert. And I saw you sitting there and like you were talking and like chatting and I was like, can I sit? And you were like, sure. Like, it was just so welcoming. And like, I feel like I just like enjoyed the night much better because like we started hanging out and like, then I feel like everyone else started to like group together a bit more and like started talking after that. But yeah, those things are always weird at first because it's like, oh, I don't know anyone, but I'm bored and I like want to talk to people. So you're like, hey, like.
Well, it was also funny too because like my partner Harry, he was gonna come tonight anyway, or come that night anyway, and we went out to eat. And so I was like, "Do you guys mind if he just like hangs out in here?" And the people running it were like, "No, let him come in." I was like, "Okay, cool." But I was talking to Harry. I'm like, I have to break the ice. I can't. This is too much. I can't. No one's talking. Everyone's looking at each other awkwardly, like who's about to go first. And I was like, okay, let's just call out the awkward let's just call it out
Yeah.
and just all start talking to each other. But it was fun because then afterwards we all got to go to the bar right next door and be human. So
Yep.
we actually got to like talk to each other. So, but yeah, it was a lovely little night. It was a lovely little night.
Absolutely.
That space was so gorgeous.
Mm,
Like
yeah.
it was such a cool, for those who don't know, Super Secret Arts is in Gowanus, Brooklyn. It's this really cool space where it's like on the second floor, it's like a giant loft of sorts. They're rigging lights. I think recently I saw on Instagram they're like putting up like these gorgeous curtains now. But it's just a crazy cool attic space that's totally finished. I walked in and I was like, this is so cool. This is so fun. But yeah, it was so much fun. And yeah, I'm glad I got to meet some amazing, cool people through it. But yeah, Riley, how did you first get started in theater?
So I have been in the theater world since like 6th grade, I would say. I auditioned for the middle school production of Bye Bye Birdie and was cast in the ensemble and was like, this is awesome. Like, I love this. And then I don't know, like the school musical was just kind of like the thing that I looked forward to most every year. And like,
Mhm.
it's funny, I was talking to my mom the other day, and I don't know, like, we've all been in this time of COVID-19 where we're spending a lot of time by ourselves. And especially if you're an extrovert like me, it's just
Mhm.
been really hard to be alone so much. Like, I'm not used to that. I want to be social and like be out and about doing a lot of different things.
Mhm.
And like now things have started to open up again, and I feel like I'm more like my best self. And I said that to my mom. Like I was like, I don't know, I just feel like I'm more my best self now that I'm like being social again and out and about doing things, staying busy. And she was like, you have always been that since you were 12. Like specifically since you started doing theater. Like
Mm.
there was a huge shift in your personality when you were doing the musical every year versus literally the entire rest of the year. She was like, I would see you come home from rehearsal and be so happy and engaged and like connected to the world, and then like when it ended, like you were so sad. You were like, oh, back to normal life. And like, so I did school musicals and plays and stuff all the way through middle school and high school. And I think after that, that's kind of how I realized like, oh, I think this is what I need to do with my life, because it sparked so much life in me and energy. And so originally I didn't think I could major in theater just because both of my parents weren't artists, and I don't think they really wanted me to do that. They were like, oh, that's like an impractical field.
Yeah.
And then I went to college at Hope College, and I originally looked there for psychology, but when I was looking at schools, I always looked at the theater program just to like be
Yeah.
involved, because I was like, this is my passion in life. Like I want to be involved, like as a non-major, which you could do at Hope.
Mm.
And but then I looked at their psychology department. Academically, at the time when I graduated high school, I was thinking, I think I want to do clinical psychology. Like I was prepared to get a PhD,
Wow.
work with people who have schizophrenia and borderline personality disorder
Wow.
and everything. Um, and then a month into college, I was just like heavily involved in the theater department, and I was like, yeah, this is what I need to do.
Yeah.
Um, but it's funny. I studied abroad in London, and when I was there, one of my theater profs asked us how, like the question you just asked me, like how did
Mhm.
you get into theater? And I told her that story. I was like, oh well, I wanted to do psychology, and then I flipped after a month of being an undergrad. And she goes, same thing. I think it's so funny because it's kind of true. I feel like psychology is the scientific study of human behavior, whereas acting is more of a practical, hands-on, in your body approach to it.
Absolutely. I think there's if you're an it'd be surprising to me if to meet an actor who is not interested in psychology in some way. Cuz like I know I took it as an elective in high school and I was like, this is just fascinating.
Right. And I don't know. I feel like the best actors have that passion. I feel like the
Yeah.
best actors are people who are curious about the human experience and discovering humanity and all that. But yeah, so
Yeah.
that's how I came to do what I'm doing.
Yeah, no, and that's super super cool to like be able to come at it from that angle too of being like you're looking for schools and you're like, making sure that there's still theater there just in case, leaving that door open. But no, I totally understand what you mean about like with uh Omicron, at least in New York, like dying down a bit, being able to be that social person again, I've had the exact same experience. Like even in like the past weekend, like my friend had a birthday and like we got to like go do things and like celebrate it and that kind of thing. And I was like, oh wow, okay, here I am again. This is like my home in terms of being a social person. So I 100% get that. It's like, oh, okay. I feel like I'm allowed to be human again. It's been weird and hard and tough, and I think that's a reality for a lot of people going, oh, now that I'm actually becoming social again, okay, yeah, that feels more normal.
Right.
Yeah, but and I know as we were sort of talking about just now in terms of like acting and theater isn't necessarily in that top 10 jobs list, and especially growing up in the Midwest. But I'm curious, was there any particular moment that was that light bulb moment of like, oh, okay, this is actually where I need, like, where was that flip for you, that overture moment?
Yeah, I think because it definitely was like a click. One of my favorite quotes is from Mr. Harrigan's Phone, which is like a
Mhm.
random thing to have a favorite quote from because
That's
it's a
okay.
short story by Stephen King.
Mm.
But I've been doing background work for the Netflix movie that they're making of it.
Oh,
Recently.
cool.
It's been fun. And so that's like how I ended up reading the story. But there's a quote, and it's like I believe you hear a click in your soul, not in your mind. I think how it goes. When you find the place where you belong,
Mm.
something along those lines. But like that absolutely what it was like for me. I think after a month of just being involved with this awesome community, like that was my favorite part of the Hope Theater Department. And it was just a great group of people and a program that encouraged people to be good people as well as good actors.
Yeah.
Because actually in reality, being a good person is going to make you a better actor. And
Yeah.
like people will want to work with you. So I just like had this awesome community and yeah, I mean like felt the most like love and belonging and passion and like energy for life that I've ever felt in my life. So I think it was like yeah, I think there was one night we did it's called Theater Buddy Night and it
Mhm.
was basically we had like a big and little type of situation in our
Yeah.
department. And so that was like the first night that like everybody in the department hung out and we like did this like we did like theater games on stage and stuff and then pair people together and then had like a big party afterwards. And I think that was the night. That was when I was like, wow, like this is like what I'm supposed to do. This is like where I belong. And yeah.
Yeah, like building that community is so important. It's just so, so important. No, that's super special. I love that for you. And so I know you're both an actor and a singer. Did one come before the other or both kind of at the same time?
I mean, I guess singer came before because I did like fifth grade choir.
Mhm.
And then, like I said, the first time I ever acted was in sixth grade in Bye Bye Birdie. So I guess I've always had a passion for music, and I would say that turned into acting. But then once I started acting, it was very much hand in hand, both of them. I was like musical theater all the way is my passion, and which is obviously both singing and acting. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
Able
definitely
being
consider
able to combine them.
yeah.
Awesome. And so I'm going to play another section of the cabaret clip. So I'm going to
Oh,
pull up this part here. A little bit of your other song just to get some contrast in here. Okay.
To kiss a boy and hold his hand, no monster in the land can understand when you kiss a boy, and just like that, the stars you're staring at start to disband. Then they form a path, and if you follow them blindly, that's where you'll find he's gone. So kiss the boy and hold his hand and travel on.
Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
Of course, of course. It's really cool to see. It was really cool to listen to like your first song and get like the character-y vibe, but then like that one is just like straight vocal chops. So yeah, it and so off of your phone for your phone. And it's so funny because I was like, this is so good. I want to pay attention. Then I'm like, wait, no, don't drop the camera. Don't drop the camera.
Well, you did a great job recording. It looks
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I found this through stalking through your Instagram, but you also play piano.
Yeah, I do. I kind of feel bad because I used to be able to sight read and like my grandma did piano lessons with me when I was like
Oh,
in elementary school. And then I don't know, once I hit middle school, I just got so busy doing other things and focusing on singing and acting that I kind of stopped doing it. So now I can really just like play chords and accompany myself, which is fine because as a singer, like that's really all I need.
yeah.
But I would like to be able to sight read again and like actually play
For
piano.
sure, for sure. I mean, heck, that's more than I can do. So, like, absolutely. I hope you don't mind, but I have a clip to play from your Instagram. You you had posted a clip of you singing "When the Party's Over," which gives a
Mhm.
little bit of that piano, but also like pop singy vibe, which is gorgeous. So we're gonna play a little bit of that. If the vocals come, oh, helps if I unmute.
Don't you know I'm no good for you? I've learned to lose, you can't afford to. Tore my shirt to stop you bleeding, but nothing ever stops you leaving. Quiet when I'm coming home and I'm on my own.
Gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
That falsetto, though.
Thank
Oh
you.
my gosh. But no, saw that and I'm like, yeah, no, that's amazing. Could be I mean, granted, I know I'm not a instrumentalist, so I know for it's just like I'm just playing chords. But for me, I'm like, that's so cool that you can accompany yourself in that way. Cause I feel like so often when it comes to like pop songs and stuff like that, if I'm trying to like sing it to record for something fun, even if it's like for Instagram, it's like karaoke version or do I just venture out and try and go a cappella? So
Mhm.
it's fun to like see someone get to accompany their self cuz I don't know for if you like sense this, but I feel like so often when the artist gets to put their hands like on the keys and stuff like that, it's another way of putting themselves really into that music performance wise and I'm assuming acting wise for you as well. I don't know if that makes sense. This is sort of just coming off the top of my head, but
No, yeah, totally. I definitely and it really helps with like when I'm learning music, like I know how to plunk out notes and everything, which is huge, I think.
yeah.
Um, but no, definitely it's yeah. I feel like what it does, I'm such a like physical actor. Um, which is where the Shakespeare passion comes in for sure. But
Absolutely.
I feel like getting your whole body into it even helps the vocals in a way. Like so, in a
Yeah.
way it can make it harder too because you're focusing on two different things, but yeah, I feel like it's a way to get, like, my whole body into it, too, for sure.
Absolutely, like, it helps you feel the music in another way, because I know for me, like, that's why I also lean into, like, dance as well as physical acting, because
Mm,
because like, we both do Shakespeare, and so, like, I think that's a fun tie that it's like, those who are physical actors do tend to find themselves in areas like Shakespeare and farce
hmm,
because of that,
mhm.
but yeah, you had talked about you had studied abroad in London. How long was that for?
Uh, 3 months, and I could go on and on about it, but I know we don't have a lot of time.
No, that's okay. I figured we'd set a little bit of time for it because I know several people who had like studied abroad, but I know for me, I had done like it was a class that had like a spring break trip component to go to like see these different things that were a part of the class. But like I never got to study abroad for such an extended period of time. So what was that like to just like live in another country for that long?
Well, London for me was absolutely transformational.
Mhm.
It was the best thing that ever happened to me, and it I so the program I did was called IES London Theatre Studies, and IES is like a big, like global, all-encompassing study abroad program where you can study basically anything. So
Mhm.
like there was a theater component to it, and it like had to decide between that versus like RADA, or like BADA, like one of the actor training programs, and I decided to do IES because like, we did a little bit of acting, but not a lot. Most of it was, like, learning about the industry. I had
Mm.
a playwriting course. It was, like, theater analysis and, like, discovering the theater industry in the UK versus the US. And I chose to do that because I'm already getting actor training at Hope. Like,
Right.
I had, like, 5 acting classes, and I was acting in plays every semester. Like, I felt like I was getting what I needed there. And people that like, I've always had a passion for travel and experiencing different cultures, and people that I've talked to who did RADA and stuff like that said that they didn't even really get to see London because they were
Mm.
completely focusing on the rigorous academic acting program, which is great. Like, I know that those
Yeah.
are great experiences, but through my program, it was very immersive within the industry and the culture in the city. So we did a lot of like, we would see a play each week for class, and we would go with our professors who got us great seats. And we had to write papers on like going to see theater by ourselves and things that we chose to see. And like, yeah, I really got to experience London and living life there. So much so that like you said in my bio, I want to move back there someday and work at the Globe. I think that would be awesome. But I don't know. I just feel like travel and experiencing different parts of the world is something I'm super passionate about because like there's so many other people out there besides the United States, and I feel like we're
Yeah.
very close-minded in this country, and I just learned so much about the world and people, and I don't know. I think everyone should study abroad or at least go live in a different country for some time because it's
Yeah.
so important.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with that. And I think it's so awesome that your program like gave you that freedom or kind of like not to say forced, but like it encouraged you to like actually be out and about in the city cuz like I would be kind of like, "Oh, damn, I feel like I missed an opportunity there." I mean, obviously again, those people who like got to do like that rigorous training, I'm sure they got so much out of it. But I know for me as well, I would also be like, "Oh, but like I wanted to like see the city and be in it, and get to experience that as well." But yeah, no, that's really cool. And I think it's really cool to also, like, as a theater person, get to know the US versus the UK. Cause I mean, granted, Broadway is in many ways uniquely American, and West End is kind of the next closest thing. And I can imagine that learning the difference between like the theater industries in the US and the UK was really interesting and really cool to know.
Oh yeah, 100%. It was yeah. I mean, there's just so much there that I think we're very unaware of, and I don't know. I feel like everyone is like Broadway, Broadway, Broadway is the end all be all. That's the
Right.
top dog. But like West End came first. Theater
Mm,
started not in the US because the US has
yeah.
not been as old as theater itself, and West End has more audience members each year, puts on more productions. It's a
Mm.
bigger industry. Like I'm not trying to shit on Broadway, but like
No, but like I
there
get it.
is stuff that West End has to offer that Broadway doesn't, and I think we're not aware of that a lot. And it's interesting because people there are aware of the opposite. Like they know Broadway and they
Mm.
understand the differences and pay attention to our theater, whereas I feel like we don't even really pay attention to what happens there.
Yeah, we're like, "Oh, yeah," like, "Oh, that's happening on the West End." I feel like we talk about the West End if it's in relation to something transferring from there to here. And
Yeah.
other than that, we don't really hear much. And I think that'd be something really interesting to look I mean, personally for me to look more
Mhm.
into and get to know and understand a bit better. Because I feel like the West End probably encapsulates and incorporates much more than we think. Because I know for me, when you think of the stereotypical Broadway, it's like the musicals that are in those set of blocks. And even sometimes we think of Broadway and we don't remember the plays. and that's a whole nother thing. But I can imagine on the West End, like in like the land of Shakespeare in many ways, like the plays are going to be paid attention to as well.
Yeah, and like they have a lot more off-Broadway stuff that people
Yeah,
pay attention to there versus here. Like, actually, my favorite stuff that I saw there was, like I said before, at the Globe, but also they have a national theater, and I
hmm,
know we have a national theater, but theirs is like huge. Like a lot of, I'm sure you know, a lot of Broadway productions transfer from the national. Like
right.
Hadestown was workshopped there and like
Hmm.
built there, and then brought over to the U.S. Um, but that and you know, it's all federally funded there,
Yeah,
so that's
and
part of the
that's
reason why
helpful.
it's better. Yeah, huge reason.
Helps a little bit. But wow, what a concept. What a getting paid by the government to like create your art. Oh, what a
Uh,
dream. What a
I
dream.
wish.
And obviously going through your study abroad program that was through your school. Did you have other classmates that went to London with you at the same time, or were you like the only one from Hope?
I had one, and it was good. It was good, especially because it was my first time living in a big city, and so it was nice to have someone to fly over with and
Yeah.
like have the first week there when we didn't know anybody. But I mean, I I feel like, I'm glad I had that, but we honestly didn't even really hang out after the first week just because, like, we met our own group of friends and everything, and,
Hmm.
I
Was it
think
like different programs as well?
no, so we had class together,
Oh, okay.
but I don't know, I just feel like I kinda wish I went on my own too because I think I would've gotten out there faster and met
Mm,
people faster,
yeah.
um, but, yeah, it was nice to have someone there at first, for sure.
Yeah, especially when you're, like, going, like, literally abroad and you're, like, sitting on, like, in your plane seat going like, "Oh god, what am I doing?"
Yeah, yeah.
Because like, I could imagine, like, going on an international flight by yourself, like, when you're heading out there for the first time would be absolutely terrifying. Yeah, yeah. Because I'm trying to think. Because when I went abroad for, like, the week-long, stint that I did, it was to Greece, but we flew
Mm,
into Switzerland first, and then from Switzerland to Greece. But I know for me, like, that long flight from New York to Switzerland, I was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die." But I had, like, my whole class with me on that plane. So it's just so funny to think about. But yeah,
yeah, it was
yeah.
nice to have someone on the plane, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And so now you've moved to New York about a year ago now,
Mhm.
give or take a few weeks. But how has this crazy experience been for you?
It's been the hardest year of my life,
Yeah.
for sure. You know, moving in a pandemic, moving to New York is already hard.
Yeah.
Um, and then you had fucking COVID-19 on top of it, and it's like just bonkers. Like sometimes I feel like I'm a crazy person. Like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, I moved into a small apartment in Hell's Kitchen that was very much like a first New York apartment. We didn't have a living room. It was just three bedrooms and a kitchen and a small bathroom.
Oh my gosh, no living room at all.
No, and
That's crazy.
yeah, and it was people that I was mutual friends with. So I had never met them before, but one of the friends that I went to school with was getting married to one of their friends that they went to school with at Boston Conservatory.
Mm,
So they were actors too, and we're still friends today. Actually, it was a really great situation. Um, so it was nice that I moved in with people that I hadn't um, like that I knew from a mutual connection.
right.
But it was kind of scary too. Like I didn't know them at all, and I know a lot of people move in with strangers the first time, like complete strangers. So I'm happy that I wasn't in that situation. But so I moved there and lived in Hell's Kitchen for 5 months, and then I moved to the Upper West Side shortly after in May of 2021, and then 3 days ago I just moved to Astoria actually. So I've been moving around a lot, but I've had like I don't know like 8 different day jobs. Like I worked at Starbucks for my first 8 months, and then I quit because it was just a lot of work, early
Yeah.
hours, not enough pay
Yeah.
at all.
I'm
Uh,
sure Starbucks gives you quite the minimum wage.
Uh, it's
No
parts
more.
I mean, it's abuse, like, they should
Yeah.
pay their workers so much better.
Yeah.
Um, so I left, and now I do dog walking, catering, um, temping every now and then, so, like, the total New York, just anything I can do to make a buck when I'm auditioning, and, um, So, like, it's been hard and I've had to work really hard, but at the same time, like, it's been so awesome to have the freedom
Yeah.
and just I mean, there's so much to do. Like, I am an adventurous person, I get bored super easily, so I feel like I'm never bored here.
Yeah,
Uh,
no.
it's impossible. I mean, I guess you can get bored, but then that's kinda on you because there's, like, so much to do.
Like, you're not looking hard enough.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, it's just been crazy. It's been hard most of all, but
Yeah.
it's been such a big growth period for me, and I think that's what I'm taking away from it the most is just how much I've grown. I mean, New York has definitely just toughened me up, like it was boot camp.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really great way of encapsulating all of that. Because I'm trying to think, when did you graduate from school? Did you just graduate in 2021?
So I
Or
was
no, that was
supposed
before then.
well, yeah, so I was supposed to graduate in May 2021, and then I graduated a semester early in December
Mm,
2020 because of coronavirus, because I didn't
right.
want to do online schooling anymore. You can't do acting on a computer screen, really.
It's, yeah, you just can't.
Yeah. So, yeah, but actually, so what happened is I got back from London, and then I kind of wasn't liking Hope that much anymore. I was just kind of like, okay, this is a small school in a small town. I really thrived in a big city, and I was just kind of depressed. And so I went to talk to the head of study abroad,
Mm.
and she was like, "Well, you can go off campus again." And I was like, "Really?" And she like laughed at me. She was like, "Yes, of course. Like you don't have to do all of your schooling here. No." She was like, "If it's not for you anymore, totally go off campus again."
Mm.
And so there's a program called the New York Arts Program that I looked into and was prepared to do my last semester. So I would have moved here academically and I would have been doing like an internship and taking class. And then the pandemic hit after I decided to do that. And then my mom was like, "Well, why don't you just like graduate early and move? Because you don't know that the program's going to happen amidst all this uncertainty."
Mm.
And I was like,
Oh,
"Yeah."
so this was like 2019 into 2020?
This was the summer of yes, exactly. So I got
Okay.
back from London. Sorry, yeah, I forgot to mention when I
No,
went.
that's okay.
Fall of 2019,
Yeah,
and then came back in January 2020 to
gotcha.
Hope. So then was there for 2 months before the pandemic hit, and in that 2 months is when I was like, okay, I think I'm going to go off campus my last semester. And then that summer, I decided to just graduate early and move, which once again has been hard, but I do not regret it at all.
Yeah. No, that's super awesome. That's really, really cool. And also, power to you for finding that like empowerment to go, no, this isn't what I need anymore. It's time to go. Because sometimes it's really hard when you're like, oh, but this feels really comfortable and safe. And so, amid so much uncertainty, to go, but no, this is actually what I need because I just experienced it in London. That's
Yeah,
really cool and really powerful. And like as you were saying, like being in New York and doing that first year in New York, it toughens you up a bit and you learn a lot about yourself. But I give you all the props for throwing yourself headfirst into all of the temp work and stuff like that. Um, Oh, I'd written down several questions for this topic of like just moving to New York and all that other stuff. Um, so when we did our performance with Super Secret Arts, was that your first show in the city, or had you done any previous to that?
yeah, it wasn't my first, but actually all the work I've been doing acting wise has basically been cabarets, because the first thing I did is I worked with this company called NYC Street Theater,
Mhm.
which was so fun. I found them on TikTok actually right before I moved,
That's so
but they
funny.
were just two AMDA grads who were like, "Okay, theater's closed, so we're bringing it to the streets." And they, yeah, like sent out auditions on like TikTok and social media, and just gathered a bunch of different musical theater actors, or actors in general who wanted to perform. And so I sent them an audition through TikTok. I was like, this looks fun. And then
Mhm.
we sang in the subway stations, like specifically the Times Square station, which is fun because everyone walks through there like
Yeah,
all the time.
it's
So there were
huge.
so many people watching us. And then we did one at Washington Square Park, and then we did one at Coney Island. and most of the time we just sang show tunes, but then sometimes we did like a Shakespeare day where we did like a Shakespeare monologue and stuff. Um, but that was super special. That was in the spring of 2021 because so many people had been so away from art and theater for so long.
Yeah.
And people would come up to us after we sang and would say, "Thank you so much for doing this out here today." Like people would be crying. Like I remember one person specifically was like sobbing and was like, "I have missed theater so much. It is my entire life. And now I've been without it for the past 2 years. Thank you so much." And like we were like crying by the end of it too, because we were like,
Yeah.
wow, I mean, like, like it wasn't something that I made a lot of money doing. It wasn't like a legit job, I guess you could say, but it was so meaningful. And
Yeah.
I was very happy to be doing that. And I don't know, I feel like I would encourage other young artists to out there to just get involved and make work and like do anything you can. Don't just wait for some big break because the truth is that there might not be a big break and you need to find the joy in doing the work that you're doing um, now and just get out there. And if you're passionate about it, do it.
Yeah.
And so that was really a great experience to be making theater when it's not even happening.
Yeah.
And then after that, the summer rolled around and I was moving and just auditioning like all the time, wasn't really getting anything. And then I started doing background work. That's been like like I don't know, I don't really consider background like it is acting, but it's
No,
not.
I get it.
It's not like like what I want to be doing for
Right.
my life. But it is a nice career stepping stone. I've become SAG-AFTRA eligible through it, which is cool, and I'm making like I don't know, like a fourth of my weekly income doing it because I do 1 or 2 gigs a week.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun. It's been a great way to be more comfortable being on set and learn all about the film and TV business after having a theater degree specifically.
Right.
And
And meet
yes,
other
I've been
people
doing
too,
that.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I've met like one good friend through it, and then I've met like 3 other friends that I hang out with from time to time. And I've gotten so many people's Instagrams and stuff from it, obviously. And then the cabaret was the other like in-person live thing besides background work that I did after that. So yeah, that's kind of like all the acting stuff that I've been doing.
Yeah, and I feel like it was like right after that is when Omicron surged again. So like I know definitely I haven't had any really anything since then, but I'm assuming that would probably be around the same for you. I
Yeah.
mean, sure, background work and stuff has popped up since then, but
Yeah, which
yeah.
once again, like I don't really consider that.
Right, which isn't like performance, but it's
No.
it's closer to art than Starbucks.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like the last 2 days, like yesterday and the day before, I was on Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which is one of my
Oh,
favorite shows.
yay.
So it's so fun. I love being on a show that I really am passionate about.
Yeah, no, every time I see a new listing for it, I keep submitting being like, "Here's all my sizes. Please ask me
Yay.
to do a fitting." Like,
Yes, you'll get one.
so
You
yeah,
will.
crossing fingers. They're always posting new ones just because they need new days and new people and all that
Mhm.
good stuff. So, but no, I've heard that they in particular like are really wonderful to their background people. So it
Mhm.
sounds like it's a really fun show to work for as well. And also just all the period costumes. I want I want to wear period costumes so badly.
It was awesome. I mean, the last 2 days, we were at the TWA Hotel at JFK,
Mm,
which if people don't know, it's an old terminal of JFK from the 1960s
mhm.
that they preserved and turned into a hotel. So you can stay there,
Oh,
and they have hotel rooms. But then if you go into the lobby, it's like where the old terminal literally like was. Like it's still there and preserved.
wow.
And you walk in and you see like the old departure sign, and everything's like red carpet, total space age. Like there's different bars and lounges that look
That's so cool.
straight out of the 1960s. And like we shot there because like I think Midge Maisel was getting on an airplane or something.
Right. Yeah.
And like it was cool because they didn't even have to build a set for it. Like we were
Yeah.
just on set at the hotel.
Yeah,
Um,
no, like location people blow my mind because I'm like, how do you know that these places exist?
right? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And I know that the last time that we had gotten to talk, like back in November, you'd been doing a lot of like dog walking for part-time work. Have you been able to like pick up that since? And like, what is dog walking like in terms of like a part-time job?
Yeah, so it's it's definitely quirky. Um, I have um been doing it a little bit since I got back, but it is one of the things that has been slower
Yeah,
um to come back after Omicron because a lot of people need their dogs walked because they go out for work, like to the
right.
office, but during Omicron, they're working
Back in.
remote, so they can just pause their Zoom or whatever and take their dog out for a quick walk. Um, but yeah, no, it's been my favorite day job for sure because I love animals. I don't know, I have like boundless energy, so I love just like walking around the city. I don't get tired from it, and it's kind of a cool way to see the city. But yeah, well, I work for a company called Big City Wolf Walker, and they have like a pool of clients in the city that they connect their employees to. So like I'll
Hmm.
have the same primary dogs that I walk each week. When I was doing full time, that's how it worked. I'm doing part time now, so I just do it like sporadically. But yeah, it was nice because it was kind of like the hours are great. Like I think I did like 11 to 4 Monday through Friday. But the way that you make money is you get paid per dog, not per hour. So I make like 16.50 per dog that I walk for an hour, and you group them. So I'd walk like 3 to 5 dogs at a time, which like is exhausting, but you're
Yeah,
doing
I was like, what's that like?
yeah, you're doing it for less hours, and then you get paid, like ending. You end up getting paid like $30 an hour if you do 2 dogs together. Um,
Right.
so yeah, it was nice. It just full time. It was too difficult to take off for auditions, so that's why I'm doing part time now. Um, but yeah, I highly recommend if you're an adventurous person and like animals.
No, that sounds so fun because I can just imagine just like the hijinks that can ensue if you're walking several dogs throughout the city together. But I'm sure you've had weird instances and here and there of just like what is happening.
You get to know the city on a deep level. 100%. I mean, like I have seen. Ugh, yeah. I mean, it's crazy. New York is insane.
Well, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I have a few Instagram questions.
Mhm.
I have a loyal follower who keeps submitting every week. Thank you, Chris XC34. So first one that he has is you seem very deliberate with your self description of an intentional storyteller. Why is that?
Wow, that is an awesome question. Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, wow, I love that question. I definitely, um, I consider myself an actor, singer, storyteller, um, because to me, my, I would say my mission in doing theater is all about the story. For me, I think storytelling has such a power to make the world a better place, which I don't know, might sound cheesy to some people, but we really have such a huge, immense power to bring people together, and people can connect on things that they might not connect over
Mhm.
had it not been for going to see a movie or going to see a play or reading the same book and talking about it.
Yeah.
Like we get to shed light on underrepresented groups and people whose stories might not otherwise get told if people who have voices don't bring them to light.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. For me, storytelling is all about, yeah, like encouraging people to make the world a better place, shedding light on people whose stories don't normally get told, and like we just learn so much about each other through telling stories. And I don't know, to me that's the meaning of life, is love and belonging and being in connection, in community with one another. And I think as storytellers we have the most power to do that.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, like particularly in musical theater, sometimes we get distracted by like the amount of riffs in a song, or like the like
Mhm.
amazing dancing and things like that, or how many pirouettes can be done. And it's like, okay, but also let's make sure we step back and remember what do those serve in terms of the full story that's being told. And I think that that's a great way of phrasing that in terms of like being intentional with your storytelling.
Yeah, and it's I don't know, it's kind of funny because I'm like so passionate about the storytelling aspect that I forget sometimes that like you still have to make something engaging and
Yeah.
entertaining for people to go see it. So I don't know, I'm like on the other end of things. I'm like, I have to remember to like, okay, like yes, like the story is at the heart of everything and what matters the most, but like yeah, you
Get
gotta
people involved.
yeah.
No, I totally get that. And this next Instagram question is a perfect segue for what I'm sure we both want to talk about. Which Shakespeare play or plays do you especially have a soft spot for?
So I mean, it's funny that this question is worded soft spot because Macbeth is my favorite play, but I wouldn't say I have a soft spot for it because it's the opposite of like soft.
Anything soft.
Like the most intense, bloody, violent,
Yep.
goofy. Um, but I don't know. So that's my favorite one. I just think it's so I love Harry Potter and like the witches in it, the spookiness. I just like really can sink my teeth into. But I would say Romeo and Juliet is another one
Mm.
that I have a soft spot for sure. I would love to play Romeo someday. It's a dream role. I don't know. I'm like a sensitive uh, person, hopeless romantic, and like that is 100% who Romeo is too. And um, I yeah, I just love Romeo and Juliet. Yeah, I
And
would
I
say those 2 are my favorites.
Those are good ones. Those are good ones. And I hope you don't mind, but I was going through your website and I found in your acting reel a little bit of some Romeo and Juliet. So if you don't mind that I share that,
I don't mind.
we can watch that for a hot second. Let me pull that up. And here we go.
Torture, not mercy. Heaven is here where Juliet lives. And every cat and dog and little mouse, every unworthy thing live here in heaven and may look on her. But Romeo may not. More validity, more honorable state, more courtship lives in carrion flies than Romeo. They may seize on the white wonder of dear Juliet's hand and steal a mortal blessing from her lips, who, even in pure and vessel modesty, still blush as thinking their own kiss is sin. But Romeo may not. He is banished. Flies may do this, but I from this must fly. They are free men, but I am banished. And say'st thou yet that exile is not death? Hast thou no poison mixed, no sharp ground knife, no sudden mean of death, though ne'er so mean, but banished to kill me? Banished. Oh, friar, the damned use that word in hell. Howling attends it. How hast thou the heart? Being a divine, a ghostly confessor, a sin absolver, and my friend professed to mangle me with that word, banished.
Oof. Well done. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know you hold on. It's playing on my end, but not your end. Your reel started like replaying for me, and I'm like, no, 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 no. Anyway, I know that your dream is to perform at the Globe. So you obviously have a big love for Mr. Willie Shakes. How did that start for you?
I didn't like Shakespeare in high school, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah, because my only experience with it before college was reading it in English class, and it's not
absolutely.
meant to be read.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
it's not.
it's not.
Absolutely
It's meant
not.
to be performed. So I like went into college, and my first year didn't do any Shakespeare because at my school we start our Shakespeare training our sophomore year.
Mhm.
So first semester sophomore year, I took my Shakespeare acting class, and it was just something clicked. Like I was like, this is awesome. This is the most fun I've ever had doing theater. And I just love a challenge and digging my teeth into something. And there's so much juicy language to sink your teeth into. And like I said before, like the physicality of it that you have to bring to the table is so much fun. So yeah, I think once I started doing it, I really liked it, but I really didn't get it until then.
Yeah, no, I totally get that because like we had to read certain Shakespeare plays in high school. And granted, when I was a little kid, my dad was like, "Okay, I need another fairy in Midsummer." So like I got a very early exposure to it, but when I was in high school, everyone had to like read Romeo and Juliet or like Midsummer Night's Dream, and everyone's like, oh, this sucks. But then we got to see the Indiana Repertory Theater's production of Midsummer Night's Dream, and like all like the jock dudes who were like hated Shakespeare were like guffawing in their seats at how funny the show was, and I'm like, see, it's meant to be performed. But yeah, what productions of Shakespeare have you been in?
I have only been in one, 12th Night, and I played Malvolio.
Oh, that's such a fun one. Honestly, 12th Night is on my list of ones that I really want to do. I've done Midsummer too many times. I love the show, but I'm like, I need a different comedy. 12th Night, I would love for that to be. But yeah, was there any particular concept behind the production of 12th Night that you were in?
Yeah, it was awesome. And it was actually a show that I got to do during the pandemic that was really fun and really effective because what we did, we were supposed to do it the spring semester that everything hit. So it was heartbreaking at first because I was so excited to finally do Shakespeare after I'd been so passionate about it and just came back from London. Like I auditioned for it in an Airbnb in Scotland when I was studying abroad, which like I literally like had to record something of myself in front of a bunk bed randomly.
Oh my God.
But and then got cast, and then the pandemic hit, and the first thing that I knew would come out of being sent home from school was the production was going to be canceled. So that was really heartbreaking. But then, luckily, we got to do it the next semester because we did it outside on like the front steps of our theater building. We have like this beautiful like tree growing in front of it and like some shrubs and steps, just like, I don't know, it was cool. It was this architecture that worked so well for the piece.
Yeah.
Because Illyria is kind of like a not like the Forest of Arden, like an enchanted forest, but it's it's kind of like a magical place. Like,
yeah, very fruitful in like greenery. One would imagine, and yeah.
So yeah, we ended up doing it there, and the concept stayed the same, which was we were completely gender bending everything. We were like basically like, gender does not matter in this piece. We're just going to focus on the people and the love triangles and like the storyline. So I actually got to assistant costume design it too.
Oh, how fun.
So fun. So what we did for the costume design is we looked up research images of just like gender fluid fashion. So we looked at like Lady Gaga, like Janelle Monáe likes to wear like suits. Billy Porter's really famous for wearing dresses.
Yeah.
Obviously, like not something that typically a man would wear in traditional stereotypical society.
Right.
So we took all of these celebrities and like different outfits that they wore and kind of like reconstructed it. So like I'm trying to think of one example, like the clown. The clown was played by a woman, but we put her in a suit with like frilly like collars and like a frilly tie. And yeah, I don't know, like it was just so cool to do something like that. And especially like my school was a small Christian school, so it was nice to be able to introduce that to the audience, because there's a lot more conservative people at my school than probably other schools. So it was a cool way to introduce them to just like gender identity and like things that they might not be super woke about.
Absolutely.
In like a way that was like engaging and educational for them too.
Yeah.
It was a special project.
That sounds really special. I love that. It's so funny. I also got to work on specifically costumes for a production of 12th Night, and that show is so fun to do costumes for.
100%.
For the one that I was doing, it was a very like timeless, out of your closet type of costuming for the show. So it was fun because there's a lot of like pieces that really don't go out of style here and there. So like Viola as Cesario and then as Sebastian both had like white button-up shirts, like navy vests, like a newsboy cap, khakis and boots kind of thing. But it was really fun to get to play around with all the different opportunities in costuming for 12th Night for sure. Do you lean towards any particular genre with Shakespeare? Because he obviously wrote comedies, tragedies, histories. Is there anyone in particular that you're like, I love sinking my teeth into this genre?
definitely tragedy.
Mm.
I love darkness. But
Which is funny because you're such a bright person, and so you're like, I love I love tragedy. I'm like, oh.
well, it is it's interesting because I've always been passionate about drama, but comedy is, like, what I've mainly been cast in college. Like, I've always
Yeah.
ended like, Malvolio's, like, comic relief and, like, I was
Although very dark comic relief, might I say.
true, true. Um, yeah, but yeah, so I don't know. I love drama, but I'm glad that I've gotten the opportunities to do comedy too, because I don't think I would have, like, sought it out as much,
Mhm.
if I hadn't just been, like, given those opportunities, through auditions. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Are there any roles that you're like super dying to play?
Uh, like I said, Romeo for
Yeah.
sure is a big one. I would love. This isn't really Shakespeare, but I would love to play um, Seymour in Little Shop of Horrors one day.
Ah, I totally see that for you. That's so cute. Now I'm like, wait, no, go get out of here. Go record one of his songs and like post it
Oh,
on Instagram or something. Be like,
fingers
hey,
crossed.
cast me. Well, considering I feel like there's a lot of theaters out there doing Little Shop for the summer. Honestly, actually, I know of a theater that's doing an open call that um is doing Little Shop this summer. We're gonna talk about that after this,
Oh,
but
send it my way.
yes, absolutely. But also recently you just signed to an agency, MTA Movement Talent Agency. How exciting.
So exciting.
I haven't dove into that world of like finding representation yet. When did you decide and how did you decide to start looking for representation?
I started looking right when I moved to New York. But also I just want to throw out there
Yeah.
probably the biggest advice that I've gotten as a aspiring actor. Um, if anyone has not read this book, go read it. It is Jenna Fisher's memoir. It's called The
Mm.
Actor's Life: A Survival Guide. And if you don't know who Jenna Fisher is, joke's on
Good old
you. You should.
yeah.
I'm just kidding. But she played Pam Beasley in The Office. And she went to theater school, moved to Los Angeles, lived there for 8 years before she got cast on The Office.
Mm,
Struggled for 8 years, like
that's
auditioned,
crazy.
temped, did catering, like all the actor stuff. And she basically just puts all of her experience in this book. And it's been such a learning experience for me. But she talks about getting agents in it. And so when I was looking, my school did not prepare me for this at all. Like they
Right.
did not tell me anything about agents really. And like they didn't know anything because a lot of my professors are not actively working in the field right now.
Yeah.
Um, so I how I found it, and how she talks about finding an agent in the book is there isn't it's like auditioning in a way or like getting cast in something. There isn't like one strict path to finding
Mhm.
one. Um, you I probably emailed hundreds of different agents my headshot resume and didn't hear back from one because they get hundreds and hundreds of submissions every day.
Right.
And then yeah, so then I don't know, I did that for like the first 6 months and didn't hear anything. So then my roommate at the time, his name's Nick, he just got cast on a cruise in Jersey Boys.
Oh, good
And
for them.
yeah, he got it through his agent. Um so he referred me to his agent back in April, actually, and he was like, "Hey, like you can like email him and be like, oh, like you're my roommate." And so I was like, "Hey, Nick Fernandez is my roommate. He has said fabulous things about you. I would love to work with you." Um, and he responded, and he was like, "Hey, Riley, like that's great. I'm not taking on any new clients right now because of COVID, but in 2022, reach back out and we'll talk." So I was like, "Okay," I had that like on my radar for
Mhm.
the rest of 2021. And so, yeah, I did just that. I came back after Christmas and emailed him again, and he was like, "All right, let's set up an interview." And I had a little phone call with him, and he was like, "Let's work together."
That's so exciting. That's really, really awesome. Because I know also even for some people, like they'll go on meetings with agents and go through several of those before they find the right fit too. Which so like that's
Mhm.
really lucky that you're able to find it in that first go.
Yeah, I'm very thankful, and I think it's important to know too for a lot of people. Like, once again, read her book. If you're an aspiring actor, like it is the best thing I think anyone can read when they're getting on their feet. But she she got hers, I think, through like she performed, and an agent was at the show in the audience and was like, "Hey, I want to work with you." Like stopped her afterwards when after bows and everything, and was like, "Hey, like we should chat. I'd love to work with you." Um, which once again is why she says the best thing to do is just be working as much as you can, be putting yourself out there, be seen, get your work seen, because getting seen is the best way to meet other actors, meet agents, meet directors, like
Everyone
people.
you could possibly collaborate with. Yeah.
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 That absolutely makes sense. And now I'm like, well, now to like go and like order that book. But yeah, was there anything that you learned like about yourself in the process of like trying to find an agent?
Definitely what you said about being the right relationship.
Mm,
I think a lot of us, it's like, I just need that agent. Like I just, any agent will do, but like, that's not the reality of it. You need
yeah.
an agent that really fits your personality, what you want. Like my agent is specifically musical theater oriented, but he also submits you for film and TV stuff if you want
Mm,
to, or like Shakespeare, regular drama. But I had to like communicate that to him. So like if I had done my phone call with him and didn't mention anything about that, he'd probably only be submitting for me for musical theater. But I was very clear with him. Oh, I'm interested in musical theater and Shakespeare and film and TV. So yeah, I very much had to do a lot of soul searching of like what I want to do, and I've realized that I really want to be open to all opportunities. I Like I said, I'm most passionate about Shakespeare, but I'm very passionate about other things too.
mhm.
So I think it's just important to know that like your agent needs to be someone who will submit you to things that you want to be submitted for, and like it's okay to say no to an agent who might not be the right fit for you.
Yeah, because I can imagine that if an agent was like, "Oh, I see you for these things," and you're like, "Well, maybe that's not the top of my list of what I see myself for," then it's like
Mhm.
you need to find that partnership that like has the same goal. So that
Yeah.
makes absolute perfect sense. Well, we've already made it past the hour mark, which is crazy. This has flown by. Um, where can we find you on social medias and things like that?
Follow me at Riley H. Wilson on Instagram and on Facebook as well. I have a Facebook profile and a Facebook acting page. Just look up my name, it should come up. Um, yeah.
Amazing. I believe you also have a website.
Yes,
Um,
and it can also be found in my Instagram bio. So if
Perfect.
you click the link tree, it should say professional website on there.
Amazing. Go find all his stuff. All that wonderful, amazing stuff. But yeah, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Lora_Marjoram. And same thing with my website, lauramarjoram.com. You can find this show on Instagram at Overtures Show. There's 2 S's. I promise it looks right. And then if you're watching this episode, you're probably here on the YouTube. Welcome. Glad to have you. Hope you can either subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff, share. We'd love to have you. We like to build a little community. But yeah, next stream, I am still working on planning, but that's okay. As long as you follow the Instagram, you will get all those good updates about when the next stream is and all that good stuff. But yeah, Riley, do you have any thoughts for viewers live and in the future?
Uh, Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks everyone for watching. And I hope you have a good rest of your day, be it a Wednesday today or whatever day you're watching this. But yeah, bye everyone.